Hello everyone. Sorry I haven't done a video for a while. I've been a bit under the weather. I think it's probably one of these lurgies. Right, so 100 exercises to learn Rust. This is rust-exercises.com and it's produced by a company called Main Matter. If you've not already seen this, then definitely worth checking out. I just want to cover one of the exercises, which is on chapter 3. The first couple of chapters are kind of you ease into it, learning about panic. You do a factorial with a loop, with a recursion. You look at saturating, where once the number basically overflows, you get surprise results. Anyway, this is looking at using the difference, or it's using setters, and it's looking at the difference between taking self as an input and ampersand self. So I've looked at this. This is obviously here for you to access on rustexercises.com. And this is my example where I've just been basically testing it out. Keep watching because I'll get to a bit later on, which is something I hadn't thought of, but it's relevant. So here we've got struct. I always do vehicle. You might have noticed. It's fairly uncontroversial. Can't get into any trouble. So wheels, doors, models, which is a string. So typically a car's got 4 wheels, maybe 5 doors, and the model would be a Golf or a Polo or something. So that's basically a constructor. It wouldn't always be called new. It probably would be actually default if you're passing in some default values. So we've got here, this is the important bit. So this line here, which is line 13, set wheels. So set wheels takes self, but it's mutable. So it's mutable. It's a mutable copy of self. So it's not, you're not borrowing it. You're actually taking ownership of self. We're going to pass in a number of wheels. So this is a setter. If you look at the Rust exercises, it deals with setters and also it mentions accessor methods. You might have heard of getter and setter with other objects or with object-oriented programming. Here we're returning self. So the main difference here is if you take immutable, if you take self and take it mutably, then you need to return something. The difference down here is when you're taking a mutable reference to self, i.e. the instance of the struct that you've created, you don't have to return anything. And that's the key difference. And I'm probably not explaining this very well, but hopefully from just these two examples, this set wheels 2 and this here called set wheels. So here we're taking a reference and we're making it mutable, so we can modify it, and we effectively modifying it in place. Because we've done that, we're just modifying it. So we're just saying whatever the number of wheels we pass in, I don't know, we might get a 3-wheel car or 6-wheel car, I don't know. Then self.wheels equals the number of wheels that you pass in. Now, I'll get to the bit in a minute that I was on about where, let's go and have a look. It's not something I'd really thought of, but it's really important actually. So this is common pattern in Rust code. If you want to change multiple fields at once, you can chain multiple calls together. So .set title, .set description, .set status. That's with first approach, which is this. So if we had another one called set doors and set model, we could do, my car.set wheels, .set doors, set model, so on. With this, you can't. So there's a trade-off. I personally like this because it means you don't have to return anything, which is nice. You just modify something in place. But as I say, the trade-off is that you can't chain the methods together. Again, this video really is me slightly under the weather, just catching up with some things that I've been learning and documenting them. But really, if you want to really practice this and really nail it, then chapter 3.7 of rust-exercises.com. And if nothing else, hopefully I've brought this to your attention, and just if you didn't already kind of consider this, or if you weren't really au fait with this, then definitely it's really worth getting your head around, because yeah, especially if you've not done, for instance, C programming before, where you can kind of modify a value in place using the pointer, or you make a copy. So again, with so much in Rust, it all boils down to whether you're taking a reference, a mutable reference, or if you're going to take a copy. So copy by value. But here we are doing two functions which basically do the same thing, or try to achieve the same result, but they do it differently, because here you're returning self, and here, because you're doing a borrow, you don't need to return anything, because basically it's modifying it in place. So just remember, the ampersand mut will change your values in place, but they won't allow you to chain methods together. So if you had set wheel, set door, set model, you'd be better off doing it this way if you wanted to be doing lots of chaining of methods, which is quite often a useful thing to do. So yeah, there we go. Rust-exercises.com. And this was chapter 3.7 that we've had a quick look at. And you can actually install this. If you install it, do the git clone, and then you install a little kind of manager that they provide, and then you can do the examples, and then it runs basically under the hood. It runs cargo test, and it checks that you've passed all the tests before you go on to the next section. So it's quite good, and it forces you to really it forces you to do the code before you go on to the next section. You can go on GitHub and look at the solutions, but really that's cheating, obviously, in that. But sometimes that's, if you get really stuck, then yeah, you do need to. And I did it in a couple of places. One of the places I did it was where I was I had to use Super, because it was talking about modules. And to be honest, I don't really use modules within main, but this was where they had a main.rs, and they also declared a module when you had to use Super. So anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, and thumbs up or the subscribe, all that YouTube nonsense. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon, and I'll be slightly less croaky, hopefully. Thank you.